This is the best event of the century, of the year, of the day. We're in opposite order, but isn't that what extraordinary is? Just gotta throw that hair up and down. I want to introduce you to something you've never seen before on the stage of the Imaginarium with your hands. It is the greatest show ever created by the thought of man. We do a whole lot of variety.
They marched into Washington, and the president looked at them and said, they need help.
Hello, welcome to number 11 of Friday Fire and Variety Show. How fun. Thank you for joining us. Today we have something so incredible and we are so excited to share it with you. Let me just give you a synopsis of what we have in store for you today. We have not one or two, but three performers that are local to this area and have never been on the stage before. Well, one of them has, but she comes back today. We have Wattinne, who will be doing a painting for us, and we will check in with him in between acts and see how his process develops. And then we have Landsberger, who is a high school music teacher who will be gracing our ears with a double bass routine. And of course, Becca Cornelius on hoop. She has been with us this whole time, and as well as Ken on tuba. And we want to welcome back to the stage Miss Kat Harmon, who will be doing not one palm torch, but two palm torches, this time on fire. So those are our performers for you this evening. My name is TuxedoKat. I am your host, your MC. And before we get started with our first act, I would love to give a shout out to my three helpers who are our unsung heroes. First, we would like to thank Susan Graf, Ken's wife, for all of her help and support with all that we have done for this last 11 weeks. And I would also love to thank my husband, David Cornelius. Thank you for building what I'm about to talk about after I give many praises to the wonderful Val Pinnock for her logical brain that is just so mesmerizing, the way you can connect the dots and put everything in motion and make everything work. Thank you for your hands and your brain. I'm looking at you right now. Thank you. And last but not least, today is our first day on our new stage. There is no name yet, so look forward to that. But today we just want to explore what we can do on this glorious 8x12 stage in the middle of my backyard here at the TuxedoKat Imaginarium. But without further ado, let us go to Ken behind me, who is patiently waiting with another rendition of his tuba talks.
Okay, this week we're working on Grandfather's Clock. It was written by Henry Work. Henry Work was an interesting writer. He wrote Marching Through Georgia, which was very popular during the Civil War, particularly after Sherman did march through Georgia. Grandfather's Clock was written about 1876, and the inspiration for it was a hotel in Connecticut. Henry was staying in that area. This is how they sold music back in those days. You'd get on the train with a several boxes of music, and you'd go from church to try to sell music. And he was staying in a hotel, and he noticed that the clock in the hotel, big, huge grandfather's clock, was only right twice a day. And he asked the clerk, he says, "What's the matter with the clock?" He said, "Boy, we tried to fix that clock. We've had every repairman up and down Connecticut, New York, and Vermont. They've come by to try to fix it. Nobody can make it work." It had belonged to a wealthy person in town, and when he passed, he sold it. The relative sold the clock off, and the hotel bought the clock, thinking what a wonderful, beautiful clock it was. It just didn't work. In any event, Henry Work wrote the song called "The Grandfather's Clock."
Gotta get the point from.
The camera's down.
Camera's not working. Okay, watch us as we figure this out. Is it back?
No signal.
You want to check it out, David?
Yep.
So, this is what's happening. We are about to move over to Eric to check out his painting. But today, we have a second camera that we don't quite know how to work yet with the whole thing. So, stand by while we figure all that out. What does it look like, Boo? I'll dance for you.
Yeah.
Are we good?
No signal.
No signal? Oh yeah, looks like we're moving the camera.
There
All
we
right.
go. Perfect.
Okay,
Now-
so this works just as fun. Isn't that the beauty of live streaming and going with the flow? Thank you for everybody who is helping us. This is David who's helping us out with our camera switch. Now you get to see a little bit behind the scenes with our lights. This is Eric Wattinne. Am I saying that right?
Yes, close enough. Wattinne, yes.
Wattinne.
Yeah.
He is a local artist here in Concord, and he is showing us his artistic process. Can you tell us what it is that you are doing?
So I start using a base of mostly acrylic paint and like inks.
Yeah.
And then the layering process usually comes after 2 or 3 of the ink blots. So the psychological ink blot test, the Rorschach.
Rorschach.
So utilizing the principles of Gestalt psychology as well, which is just visual acuities. So say that you have a circle and a square next to one another and you dart your eyes back and forth, and both will look like one another at one or 2 points just because of optical illusions that your eyes can play on you. But utilizing those and my own life experiences, I call it Rorschach, Gestalt, and experience. So I've been doing it for about a decade, utilizing this and then a few other techniques. But usually whenever I'm setting up, it starts with an ink blot.
So an ink blot, I mean, I've never seen this in person. I've just heard about it. You have here what looks like to be cardstock, a little bit thick or thin poster board, folded in half. It looks like with your red here, you had the red and the yellow and the green, and now you're just adding in on top of it.
Correct.
Man, that's cool. So what we can look forward to for the entirety of this show, throughout all the acts, we're going to check back in with Eric. We're going to try to see if we can't get our second camera working, but either way, I think we're gonna just be using one camera. Makes it a whole lot easier. But we'll save that for next week. We can't give you everything all in one week. So we're gonna check in with Eric. But first, before we do, I want to bring to the stage someone that you know and love and that you have watched grow in her hoop, in her love for the dancing, for the drama, for the stage presence. We practiced today with all of these new improvised hoop moves that she can't wait to show for you today. Val, if we are ready to go, I would love to bring to the stage Miss Becca.
Yeah.
I used to bite my tongue and hold my breath, scared to rock the boat and make a mess. So I said quietly, agreed politely. I guess that I forgot I had a choice. I let you push me past the breaking point. I stood for nothing, so I fell for everything. Held me down, but I got up. Already brushing off the dust. You hear my voice, you hear that sound. Like thunder gonna shake the ground. You held me down, but I got up. Get ready, 'cause I've had enough. I see it all, I see it now. I got the eye of the tiger. Dancing through the fire. 'Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar louder, louder than a lion. 'Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar. Now I'm floating like a butterfly, singing like a bee. I earned the stripes. I went from zero to now I'm hero. You held me down, but I got up. Already brushing off the dust. You hear my voice, you hear that sound. Like thunder gonna shake the ground. You held me down, but I got up. Get ready, 'cause I've had enough. I see it all, I see it now. I got the eye of the tiger. I am a champion, and you're
There you go.
Nice work! Yeah!
I got it.
I got the eye of the tiger, dancing through the fire. 'Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar louder than a lion. 'Cause
Woo! Practice the whole song. Woo! Yeah! All the way to the end. What's next? Wait for it. Yay! How wonderful was that? absolutely fantastic. Welcome, thank you to Becca for that magnificent, fierce tiger monologue with a hoop and through dramatic dance. But now we're going to come with me. Come with me. Let's check in with our good friend Eric Wattinne. All right. So we have added a little bit more on here. What have you added in the last 5 minutes? What can you tell the people that has changed so far? I see a little hot pink.
Yeah, got a little bit of blocking going in right now, but I think that I've got a better idea of where I'm going to go with it, and maybe just going with the original theme of like ink blots. Most of the time, if you see what you're going to see inside of like a regular rorschach, like a black and white, you'd see like a butterfly, something like the to the effect of a butterfly.
Right. Okay.
So kind of pull that out with the wings and the wingspan out here with this pink, and then maybe pull a little bit more of a straight on face as well.
Okay. All right. So the direction that Eric is going is a butterfly. So every time we check back, we'll get to see what comes out of his artistic process in this, how do I say it again?
The Rorschach.
Rorschach. I keep saying Roysop. Oh my, I've had a horrible time trying to spell it because I was Googling the wrong word. All right. So I'm learning a lot. I hope you are. So we're going to check back here with Eric. But next, I want to welcome to the stage our next performer, someone that you know and love. And he is the first time gracing this beautiful backyard here at the TuxedoKat Imaginarium. He is Eric Landsberger, and he will be playing live an instrument with his hands and his heart. And he will be amplifying the sound because he brought his amplifier. So thank you, Eric. We don't have one of those yet.
You're welcome.
So without any further ado, Eric Landsberger on the double bass.
I take it you'd like a little bit of setup. Hello?
Yeah, you need help?
No, and generally speaking, yes, I need all the help I can get.
Whatever you need from us, we're here for you.
Okay. So I would just like to add that not only am I going to use my hands, but my feet are important. My legs are important, my entire skeleton's important, which I think some of us can relate to, like our hula hoop person who just performed. The whole body's involved
What?
when we play a musical instrument. I just want to clarify that. But yes, I will be using my hands. Yeah, my name's Eric. The first piece I want to play was actually written for cello. Cello is like a half-size version of what you see before you now. Mr. Johannes Sebastian Bach wrote a series of cello suites for unaccompanied cello, and this is one. This is one of the movements. Actually, two of the movements from the third cello suite by Mr. Bach.
Which one? Yes, please. Go for it.
side.
Go for it. Go. We want the B side. Let's
B
hear
side.
it.
You're giving the other Eric more time.
Okay, cool. Anything I can do to help the other Eric?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm all about the Erics.
Eric's help
Club.
Eric's.
Eric's helping Erics.com.
Yes.
We got to stick together, right?
Us Eric.
So for my next piece, so to kind of dial it back a bit and explain this piece I just played. So I teach private lessons in Davidson, and I have a young student who's going to School of the Arts next year, which is my alma mater. That's where I went and studied music. And he's in high school, and he decided he wanted to work on the piece I just played. I haven't played the piece really since I was in college, which is quite a few years ago. And so helping him learn the piece, it's caused me to kind of pull it out and dust it off and work on it myself. And I still have some work to do, apparently. So when Kat approached me, I thought I would bring this piece back to life in my own way. But I also wanted to play a tune that would kind of represent the other half of my musical journey so far, which is my jazz side of my musical path. So the next tune I want to do is an old jazz tune, and I'm going to sing a little bit. The tune is called Almost Like Being in Love. If anybody's ever heard of this tune, I hope I do it justice. It goes something like this, y'all. What a day this has been, what a rare mood I'm in. It's almost like being in love. There's a smile on my face for the whole human race. It's almost like being in love. All the music in life seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me. And by the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, I could swear I was falling. I could swear I was falling. Yes, it's almost like being in love. All the music in life seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me. And by the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, I could swear I was falling. I could swear I was falling. Yes, it's almost like being in love. Yes, it's almost like being in love. Yes, it's almost like being in love.
Yes.
Yay! Backyard Jazz!
Thank you.
Very nice. Ooh, come with me to another place that we've been several times before in this show. That was Eric Landsberger. He is amazing. He is a local Concord musician and music teacher. What high school?
Central Cabarrus.
Central Cabarrus here.
Go Vikings.
Go Vikings. I don't know if that's the Viking symbol, but go Vikings! Rah! All right, come, let's go check in with Eric, the other Eric over here with the
Rorschach.
Rorschach. Whoa! Why can't I get that? All right, so
you get it?
I guess if I painted them, they would come out of my brain. So here we go. We're checking in with Eric in between all of these sets. He is doing this type of painting for us here. He's started about 20 minutes ago, and here he's putting together more of the story of his process. Can you tell us where you're going at this part?
Like I said with the butterfly layout and using that as like a straight-on face format, now I'm at the layering process to pull that face out. So right here in the center, you can kind of see it's getting. I'll use the. I love the double helix DNA strand, kind of like just using that waving line to kind of bring the layering effect around, but also when you're doing it with the live art, it really just kind of brings everybody's eye around the piece. Just in an actual kinetic fashion.
Okay.
But now I'm going to start using some of those wisps to lay out where the eyes, the mouth, whether it'll be open or closed, teeth,
Nice.
nose, that kind of stuff. And then I'm starting to see with the greens and yellows that I have on these sides, maybe some wisps that could turn into snakes.
Okay.
Maybe some of these are like little side profiles of faces, like I can see an eye coming out right here with this little gold dot in the middle. Maybe even like fetuses, where these little green parts are down in the bottoms.
Guys.
But yeah, just kind of blocking in the sides and everything to start, and then now that I'm about to pull in with some India ink, so I'm gonna use some blocking with some black.
So before we let you go for a minute, can you kind of dig? I'm gonna ask you to dig deep.
Okay.
Can you dig deep and just give us a surface level answer of the deepness that is, why has this art process called to you? Why is it this process?
So not only with the color, using a lot of saturated colors, using the quick layout effect, and just the presentation of the beginning, using that ink blot, I was talking to Eric earlier, and he was telling me about another artist that, during the '94 Woodstock reunion, flipped the piece and had Jimi Hendrix playing, but during it, painting it upside down like that before he flipped it, no, you couldn't really tell. You have a crowd of 100,000 people in awe. So it's kind of like going into it with that mentality. Even if you don't have a gigantic crowd, you're doing it live and you're painting in a setting that's different than just in a studio space. Mm-hmm. So it's already, performance art. So like all of these things started coming together for me, using a found object, using mixed media, the idea of the performance, and then just presentation in itself, the way that we had the setup with the parade float, and the way that all the artists came together, that sense of community.
Yeah.
So it's about that, and just because of the overall aspect of my own life experiences, those are things that I tend to be a lot more drawn to, like family, friends, camaraderie, and the idea of a collective, not so much as everything is necessary to be a working group. The idea of the individual is there. So having that individuality and having unique, ideas, having that, gun ho, want to need to make, want to create, is something that I've definitely prided myself with, like in just even simply the imagery that I decide with. Like I don't tend to go more towards the like darker side of things, or like when I use negative space, I'm trying to block it in with more color or as much busyness as I can. So yeah, like this is a little bit more of a simple piece just because of the setup. We're doing a little quick stream, but a lot of the pieces, including this one, more than likely, I mean, sometimes I get it right. So sometimes my process is like, all right, 1, 2, 3, done.
Got it.
The process was like on point. You got it. And so sometimes it's not so much that it's not on point. Sometimes it's that it just takes more time. And
Okay.
that's what art is. And then one of my major dig deep moments is just everything is art, and everyone is an artist, and there's an art process to everything. And,
Totally
and
agree.
you know, there's a lot of practice that goes into it, and then I've heard, you know, people say, like, you know, practice makes perfect. It's perfect practice makes perfect. You know, like when you get to that,
Okay.
when you get to that niche, when you get to that, you know, extreme flow, and then this is like with hula hooping, it's considered a flow art.
Right.
So
yes.
so you have live artists set up, you know, and
Mhm.
and this is the way it would be, you know, out in the middle of a field
Right.
next to a stage for a festival.
Feeding on everyone's
But it could
energy.
be on the street corner, you know. It
Yes.
can be anything. It can be anywhere, and that's what I feel like a lot of my influences, like Dali, you know, pushed forward, like Salvador Dali would have that idea of the in the moment performance piece, you know, like throwing the bowl of water and the cats and everything, getting it like perfect in that one, you know, like him hopping and like painting a piece, but those processes in those creative, you know, flow and,
Right.
and whatever the energy that he was putting into it, everything had to do with it. So that's why I say, like, everything is art, you know. And you know, just because you don't have in your own mind like a specific style, or
Right.
maybe you're just you know, defeated because you feel like, oh man, I don't know what to create. Just do it. You know, take the pen, take the pencil to paper. If you don't do that
Yes.
first step, then you know, it's just sitting there.
That's right. And that's what I like to talk about too when I do my art as well. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Man, Eric, thanks for, you know, sharing with us a little bit about your art. We got one more act left, one more dance act. So we're gonna check back in here with Eric right after our next performance. But just to let you know, we're coming in home stretch. I'm excited to see what happens here in this flow art of
Me too.
painting. All right, thanks, Eric.
Well, thank you.
Okay, we're coming back over. We're being very guerrilla with our one camera switch. Now let me grab the focus here. Becca, would you come stand right there with that glow hoop? It's a wonderful light. Shine it right there. There you go. I want to take some special time to really build up what is about to happen on our stage. Now, if you tuned in 2 weeks ago, you met Kat Harmon for the first time as she lit fire palm torches, but in an improvised accident, which we all agree was meant to happen, one of the palm torches fell into the fuel, and so we couldn't use it for safety reasons, obviously. So she danced her heart out to one. But today, she will have two. She will have two, and she is ready to grace our stage with a magnificent, dramatic performance that she has prepared for you tonight. So with our final performance act of the evening, we are going to welcome Miss Kat Harmon.
I wish I could swim like dolphins can swim. Though nothing will keep us together, we can beat them forever and ever. We can be heroes just for one day. We can be heroes just for one day. I will begin. And you will be queen. For nothing will drive us away. How we can be heroes just for one day. How we can be us just for one day. And we can be heroes just for one day.
Thank you. Holy bananas. Did you guys see those bananas over there? Oh my goodness. That was amazing. Fantastic. That was Kat Harmon, in case you are joining us. She is a local yoga teacher here in Concord, and she teaches Zoom classes as well as socially distant in-person classes. Check her out, Kat Harmon with an H, Kat with a K. Now let's check in with Eric one more time. Come with us. Come with us. What do we got going on here, Eric? Take us out here. Oh, what's going on?
So going back with the keeping it moving, keeping it the kinetic kind of idea in the artwork, instead of just kind of blocking in with the black India ink. More or less, I decided to utilize the ink blot process once more, which I do end up doing a lot of the time. Taking it and folding it back over onto itself. It does transfer the media in a way that sometimes can be chaotic, but that's definitely what I'm going for. I really do like the atmosphere that it kind of like lays out, some of the mark making that it does, especially with like those ventricles.
I like that.
Yeah, like that.
Is the peeling apart as you mix, you put them together and you peel them apart. It makes the ventricles.
Yeah,
what you're calling them.
yeah.
That's nice.
So kind of gives it a little bit of that point in style that I was talking about. Kind of like some mark making techniques that I'll use. Like I like to use bamboo brushes. Like kind of scratching the ink around, like Ralph Steadman, the illustration artist that did a lot of work with Hunter Thompson. Fear and Loathing, that kind of thing.
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So the kind of illustration method that I would use, especially if given more time. So sometimes it can be within the first 30 minutes to an hour of the process. But most of the time, the flow of the paint, the actual fluidity, and the liquid techniques that I'm using. Yeah, like I love how some of the paints mix in some areas in different ways, so that asymmetrical layout.
Right.
That's what I really stem for. I like to have everything kind of in a controlled chaos
I like that. And so if you have watched this painting develop over this show, this has been a process from Eric Wattinne of Wattinne Visual. He's been doing this for how many years?
Going on a decade.
Going on a decade. So if you are ever interested in learning more about this type of process, it's super, if it speaks to you, I'm not going to say it's easy because it's different for everyone, but if you're interested, Eric Wattinne will be tagged in this post. Please reach out to him, and he can, maybe give you some tips. But so we're going to close with you here. So this is going to be the last that you see of this. We'll post, if you're going to keep painting, we'll post more.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for coming on and showing people your art process. It wasn't too scary, was it?
No, I love doing this kind of stuff.
Not bad at all. And there's a lot of energy and a lot of people here to, well, at least, more than normal. So the energy here is very, very fun and man, just a great place to process paint. So we thank you for being here on the stage. Eric Wattinne, everyone. Okay. Now, I'm going to have David say something to me. What were you trying to say?
That light is killing it. But
all right,
we'll get better shots after.
So
Still looks good.
we are working on our process. Let me grab the focus. So sometimes it's too dark and sometimes it's too light.
Becca,
but that's okay. But that's okay. If I can have everyone come join us here on the stage, we will close out with It's a Small World with Ken. So if I can have everybody come join us on our new stage. David, if you can get the champagne, we're going to pop the cork.
And the milk.
And the chocolate milk for the young ones, of course.
Some apple juice.
Of course. So everyone we have on the stage, everyone who's been a part of the show today, you can have a look. Val is still behind. I don't know if she's going to be on stage or not.
We'll
but
see if we can get the
she's
picture
there,
right. I mean,
doing the best thing that she
She's
can.
there.
So if we can, everybody, good job. This is Val. She does all the behind the scenes work for us. And Ken, if you would go ahead and take us away.
All right, here we go. It's a small world.
After a world of tears, it's a world of hope and a world of fears. There's so much that we share that it's time we're aware. It's a small world after all. 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 It's a small world.
Yeah!
Say that again. I got more. Thank you.
Everybody?
Thank you.
And there's more here. I'm not quite being very, there you go.
Y'all are gonna be alive for a while. I don't know what I'm doing back here.
There you go.
Back here, we need it back here.
Need some back here.
Boo, you can grab water. It's late for chocolate.
It's too late for chocolate milk.
And Dave, none of us have fallen through your stage.
That's a fantastic day.
So everybody, this is a very special day.
That is a good load test.
This is a very special.
You got that right.
Ooh, my hoop died.
Very special because we just built this stage this week to try to, what you saw here today was just a bunch of local artists who wanted to share what they do with you. So if you are someone who is interested, even just interested in doing something on this stage, we can talk about it and see if you have any nervousness or anxiety, at least let's have a conversation and see what we can do to get you and your art on this stage and your voice on this stage. There's no audience here, just one big screen that shows you what you look like. So it's a little bit different than performing for an audience. But everyone, I appreciate y'all being here for our first show with the stage. Cheers, everybody!
Ow, ow. I'm out here.
You hit me over here, y'all.
You got it. Cheers.
And then,
Well, cheers.
goodbye. Watch as we
Goodbye.
struggle to turn it off.
Rock.
Mm.
We did it!